This week, we are bringing you our special series of interviews, Women on Top. The first is with Miss Christine Lagarde, the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund. She rose to the top of the IMF in year 2011. She has helped to safeguard the stability of the international monetary system into her second term. With China inviting global players to share the benefits of the Belt and Road Initiative, Ms. Lagarde says the IMF is perfectly capable of providing technical expertise to help Belt and Road members.
When Christine Lagarde was appointed as the 11th and first female managing director of the IMF, Europe was struggling through the international financial crisis. During her past years in this position, the IMF played important roles in promoting international financial stability and monetary cooperation. With China becoming the second largest economy in the world, cooperation between the IMF and China is growing fast. The IMF has been working with the Chinese government in various international mechanisms. Yet, the Belt and Road Initiative is providing an even larger stage for the IMF to better perform its expertise on policy coordination between the BRI members. As part of the BRI project, the IMF has signed an agreement with the Chinese government. It is going to bring its goals of technical and financial expertise.
Well, first of all, the Belt and Road Initiative is, in my view, a very positive proposal by China. And it is positive from a growth perspective. We have always advocated infrastructure projects around the world, both hard infrastructure, soft infrastructure as well, in order to support growth in the short term, but also to improve the terms in the longer perspective. And that's exactly what it is doing. But it is doing it in a very special way, which is a coordinated way. That's where the IMF can play a role. We can help the coordination of policies between the various members of the Belt and Road Initiative. And we can also provide technical assistance. As part of the BRA project, we have signed an agreement with the Chinese authorities, and we're going to dedicate capacity development expertise that we have in Beijing for those who will need special technical assistance, special training, in order to put in place efficient infrastructure projects, in order to coordinate at all levels. And from those two perspectives, policy coordination, capacity building, we can really provide the decades of expertise that we have in these fields.
The RMB fund that the Chinese president has pledged to establish worldwide. IMF has been an instrumental organization nurturing the growing of RMB together with other international currencies. What do you make of this specific pledge? And also, what does that mean for IMF's future work with Chinese government and the Chinese financial circle?
Well, first of all, I really commend the initiative and the funding. Where we can help is by offering the expertise, the technical assistance that we have in identifying projects, in optimizing the financing, and in applying good principles. Do you know, for instance, that between a project that is well governed, that is efficient, and a project that is poorly governed and inefficient,
I guess
there can be a difference of 100%.
Absolutely.
So, you know, this is massive funding, and it needs to deliver massive results for the good of the project. That's where we can help.
Madam Lagarde, there have been different debates about what is the nature of BRI. Is it globalization 2.0, as China said? Or is it part of a new globalization, as you beautifully mentioned several times internationally? Or is it China's geopolitical ambition involved? What exactly is it from your perspective?
For the project to be successful, it has to be mutually beneficial for all the participants. It's the virtue of the network, of the connections, of the interrelationships and the linkages that will be established that will actually deliver the added value to each and every project, to each and every country. It's a bit like, you know, some of the inventions of the past. the telephones, or anything that is based on network and connections. If you only have a small number of connected beneficials, it's going to remain a small project. If everybody is connected, if everybody benefits, then it's going to be a successful venture. So I think that it's difficult to articulate a single purpose, because each and every participant will see benefits to it. But that's the key, that everybody can benefit from it, and that there is this sort of joint approach to mutually beneficial outcome at all countries' levels, which is why policy coordination and governance will matter in the long run.
Well said. But do you think people are going to be used to, let's just say, first of all, an idea coming from a developing country? China is the largest developing country, as China believes, for international governance?
You know, the longest initiatives, whether it's in economic terms or in geopolitical terms, are based on consultation, coordination, respect and tolerance. And I think if those principles are applied, it can still be a very successful and long-term proposition.
You talk about the financial system for all. I do want you to explain how that would work. For example, this time with an initiative coming from developing countries and widely consulted by all.
Well, today as we speak, there are millions and millions and millions of people who are outside the financial sector. And number one, it is not fair. Number two, it is economically counterproductive. To give you an example, there are many SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises around the world, which do not have access to finance properly. Number two, if you look at gender, women are generally underbanked, underserved when it comes to financial access or financial literacy. And it's not fair, but it's counterproductive, because if SMEs had proper access, if women had better access, they could participate in the economy, they could leverage their talent, they could accomplish themselves. So it's only fair and economically sensible to facilitate financial access to all. Now, we are lucky at the moment because technologies facilitate that. You no longer need to have a brick-and-mortar bank branch to have access to finance. You can use mobile banking. You can use virtual currencies in some cases. You can effect cash transactions without cash. This is particularly the case in Beijing or in other places. You can spend the whole day without cash.
That's right.
Right? You can use your bike, you can use your phone, you can do your purchases, you can go online.
Yeah, let me tell you, it's very easy to spend your money that way.
Which takes me to my second point, which is control. Each and every one of us will have to sort of be very aware of that and be very cautious and accountable to oneself and to one's family, because you can't just go on spending. The same is true at the global level from a policy perspective. We need to have in place the regulations and the controls so that that financial system does not get outside of control and has a life of its own, because we know that we risk paying a high price for that, as we did back in 2008.
Many are very impressed by your strong leadership within the IMF and also on the international stage. I'm saying
they're way too good.
Not because you're sitting right in front of me. As someone in this very crucial organization, at the juncture of change of our world, how much do you think leadership means, and what should be the qualities of that leadership, the most important ones?
I think that in any organization, whether it's the IMF or a country or a non-governmental organization, leadership matters enormously. It can be exercised in many different ways, depending on the culture, depending on the talent. You know, I come back to that always. But leadership itself matters. I equally believe that irrespective of the style of leadership you have or what suits you, you occasionally have to show a degree of authority.
But while you're pushing all the reforms and the changes within the organization, some member countries must be much more in line than the other, because changes could impact to different degrees to different countries of the members. What would that mean for your relationship with your member states?
First of all, we try to be even-handed.
Of course.
So whether a country is small, medium or large, we have to apply the same principles. And that's the reason why our governance rules matter so much. Sometimes it's a burden. It slows us down a little bit. Sometimes I would like to move faster, but the rules are there to make sure that there is even-handedness between the various members. Second, I try to identify what is really going to be beneficial, what is going to be in the interest of a particular member on the occasion of a change of policy, on the occasion of a new proposal. And I try to identify for that member what is positive about it.
And of course, women leadership has been a cause you are very supportive about. We see some dramatic changes, but not necessarily to the degree, some say.
There is still a long way to go, and this is particularly true in the world of finance. This is particularly true in the government circles. So there is a lot of progress to be made. And what can I do? Well, I can raise my voice. I can remind the issue of gender inclusion. I can, together with the team, the entire team of the IMF, identify the economic output that women can provide, the leverage that they give, the diversity that they improve, and how it makes absolute economic sense. I used to say it's an economic no-brainer. It's a no-brainer to bring women in vast numbers. And I'm always reminded of the flock of geese that fly in the sky of the Belt and Road. Well, think of the geese. They need two wings, men and women.
Just like that.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Madame Lagarde, for being with us. Thank you all for your time. Christine Lagarde, Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund. And that is all the time we have for today. If you'd like to see more, try to find us World Insight CGTN into your search engine or check out our YouTube channel. Also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Sina Weibo. From me, Tian Wei, and everyone on the World Insight team, thanks for watching. Tune in again next time for insights across China and around the world. Good night.